1 year of a Labor government. Well done. Politics is never a sure thing. And the Labor Party, our great party, every time is only as good as their next fight. Every generation of Labor has to measure up to the achievements of the past and progress us to our future, the country. And now it is the time for the class and the generation of 2015 to step up and be the generation of 2016 who wins the next federal election. Are you ready for the fight? This great state can change the government. Millions of Australians and many millions and hundreds of thousands of Queenslanders are counting on us to do just that. Now, I acknowledge today the traditional owners of this land on which we meet. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. And alongside those words of respect, we rededicate ourselves to build a better future for our first Australians. Yes. I want to acknowledge all of the women and men of the union movement here today. Your predecessors pioneered Australian unionism, gave birth to Australia's oldest political party. No group of people have done more to build our nation, grow the middle class, lift the living standards of working families. And I can promise you this, the Labor Party I lead will always stand with you, the trade unionists of Australia. We will not be deterred by those in our community and the right-wing elements of the media and business and the Liberal Party who say there is no further work to represent working people, that we've reached the most exciting time in Australia and there is nothing more to be done to protect the conditions of our working people. Tell that to the workers at Q&I. We will stand with you to protect penalty rates that millions of people rely upon to put the food on the table and the petrol in their car. We stand with you, lifting living standards, supporting jobs, not thoughtlessly sending them overseas, selling out the jobs of Australian seafarers, undermining Australian jobs like our opponents conspire to do. We stand with you, with plans to revitalise Australian manufacturing, not to chuck it in the too hard basket or lazily dispatch such businesses offshore. We stand with you and working people in our shared commitment to build an education system that provides all our children with the opportunities they deserve and need to succeed, regardless of their background or their parents' income or their postcode. We stand with you in solidarity always. Anastasia, I want to thank you for your generous welcome. I was always proud to call you my friend. These days, I'm delighted to call you Premier. I also want to acknowledge State Secretary Evan Moorhead. Evan, thank you for everything you and your team and the volunteers are doing to keep Queensland Labor so remarkably strong. Every time I come to Queensland, I'm inspired by what the people in this room achieved last January after a shattering defeat in 2012. It would have been easy for Queensland Labor to lose itself in recriminations, finger-pointing, the blame shifting. It would have been easy for volunteers and supporters to say, it's all too hard, a Labor resurrection too far off. It would have been easy to say to each other, 2015 isn't our time. It's too early. Let's just try and get back a bit of ground. But that didn't happen. No one lost faith. You united, you rallied, you organised, and you worked incredibly hard. You put forward a vision for all Queensland, from the regions and the reef to the cities and the suburbs. Millions of Queenslanders like the sound of that. They trusted you, and now you're delivering for them, creating jobs, building infrastructure, improving communities. You're focusing on the good that you can do for people, the difference you can make in the lives of your fellow citizens. That's what Labor governments have always done. It is why we are here today, because there is so much to be done. I and our federal team are so driven to work with you to achieve good for this country. You here in this room are the people that Labor has always relied upon to tell our story, and indeed the story of Australia. Your energy, your passion, your good humour, your sincere belief in the power of honesty and authenticity to make politics in our country, and indeed our country, a better place. You volunteer, you organise, you make phone calls, you letterbox, you knock on the doors, you hand out the leaflets at the bus stops, the train stations, the ferry terminals. Changing the country, one conversation at a time. And together we have a positive and vital story to tell Australia. At this year's federal election, Australians will make choices that will profoundly shape our nation. 48 hours ago, I announced one of the defining policies of our Labor platform. Labor's historic education plan, Your Child, Our Future. It will deliver a focus on every child's needs, more individual attention, better supported, resourced and trained teachers, more support for students with special learning needs. Every child, every school, every opportunity. This is how Labor delivers innovation, through education. Innovation without education is just talk, hollow words. And when the Liberals' education plan for our children and our schools is accompanied by $30 billion of willfully destructive cuts, the choice for Australians could not be more stark. But the choice does not stop there. There's a choice between a robust Medicare and properly functioning public hospitals, or the Liberals' dreadful vandalism in slashing $50 billion from the nation's health system so far.
That's wicked.
There is a choice between a Labor Party taking real action on climate change, on marriage equality, on support for a republic, or this current Prime Minister of agile, fluid, nimble convictions. The latest Liberal weather vane who's sold out on all three of those issues. This Liberal Prime Minister thinks that because he failed to deliver on a republic 17 years ago, no one can. Because he did a dirty deal with the Conservatives and the National Party to delay real action on climate change, then the whole nation should wait. Because he did a backroom deal to kick marriage equality into the long grass of a $160 million taxpayer-funded opinion poll, why should all Australians wait because he hasn't got the courage of these convictions? Who is he to give up on behalf of Australia? There's a very clear choice between a Labor Party focused on creating good, secure jobs with appropriate certainty of work and reasonable income, revitalising manufacturing and training Australians, investing in new high-skilled jobs in growing industries from renewable energy to defence manufacturing, or a Prime Minister who cares about only one job, his own.
Yay.
There's a choice between a Labor Party lifting the living standards of working and middle-class families or a rotten Liberal Party plan determined to hit families with a 15% GST that will put up the price of everything.